tell a sweet lie, and 10 people will applaud you. Tell a bitter truth, and 8 people will attack you, but 2 will start questioning. This is for those 2. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable like, oh, that's a bit awkward. Uncomfortable like, if you really sit with it, it changes how you see everything around you. I'm going to talk about where we're actually heading. Not the version they sell you in TED Talks, not the optimistic brochure. The other version, the one that's already happening in 2026 while most people are scrolling, the new power structure. We used to have kings, then we had governments, then corporations got powerful enough to influence governments, and now something new is forming, something that doesn't have a clean name yet. I'm going to call it corporatocracy. But it's evolved beyond that word. It's not just corporations anymore. It's corporations plus AI, plus automation, plus data, all working together quietly, efficiently, at a scale no king in history could have dreamed of. And here's the thing, it doesn't need to be a conspiracy. It doesn't need a dark room with men in suits planning your future. It just needs incentives, profit motives, efficiency goals. The system optimizes itself. And you're part of what's being optimized. In 2016, the World Economic Forum published something that became infamous. A video, a prediction for 2030. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. They framed it as a positive vision. Subscription, everything. No possessions. Total flexibility. But let's slow down. If you own nothing, who owns everything? Think about what's already happened. Music. You used to buy albums. Now you subscribe. Movies. Software. Cars are moving towards subscription models. There are companies right now selling subscription-based home appliances. You don't own your Netflix content. You don't own your Spotify library. You license the software on your computer. Adobe, Microsoft. You pay monthly or you lose access. Forever. Now scale that to housing, to transportation, to food systems, to energy. A world where everything is rented means a world where everything can be taken away. Not by force, just by canceling a subscription or updating the terms of service, which by the way, you already agreed to. You clicked, I accept. We all did. Nobody read it. You're not forced. You're seduced. Here's what's important to understand. Nobody is holding a gun to your head. That's exactly the point. The most sophisticated control systems in history don't use force. They use convenience. They give you something so smooth, so frictionless, so pleasurable, that you hand everything over voluntarily, happily even. Think about it. 10 years ago, people were uncomfortable sharing their location with an app. Now we share it constantly, with maps, with food delivery, with dating apps, with fitness trackers, because the convenience is worth it. The deal feels fair. But the deal was never about convenience. Convenience was the bait. And now, we're at the point where people can't function without these systems. Take away someone's phone and watch what happens. Take away the algorithm that decides what they eat, what they watch, who they date, what news they read, and they're lost. Not because they're weak, because the dependency was engineered, carefully, over years. You didn't fall into this trap, you were walked into it, slowly, with snacks. The comfort gets deeper every year. Smart homes that know your schedule. AI assistants that finish your sentences. Recommendation engines that know what you want before you do. Each layer of convenience is another layer of dependency. And at some point, you can't leave even if you wanted to. Not because the door is locked, but because you forgot how to exist on the other side of it. This is consent. Manufactured, engineered, optimized consent. Now let's talk about the technology side. AI and automation are genuinely incredible. I'm not anti-technology. But I want to ask one honest question. When a factory automates 500 jobs, where does the profit go? Not to the 500 workers, to the shareholders. The numbers in 2026 are already striking. In March 2026 alone, AI led all reasons for corporate job cuts, accounting for over 15,000 announced layoffs, 25% of all cuts that month. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report found that 40% of employers are actively planning to reduce their staff headcount as a result of AI. The Anthropic CEO himself stated in 2025 that AI could eliminate roughly 50% of entry-level white-collar positions within 5 years. Think about that for a second. The people building these systems are telling you this openly. Paralegals face an 80% risk of automation. Medical transcription is already 99% automated. Retail cashiers, loan processors, junior software developers, entire entry-level pipelines are shrinking or disappearing. And here's the darker layer. When entry-level roles disappear, the career ladder through which workers develop expertise is disrupted. Without junior roles providing foundational experience, organizations risk a long-term shortage of senior talent a decade from now. We're not just losing jobs, we're losing the pathway through which people become skilled. Here's something nobody talks about clearly enough. Right now, today, you are working for these systems for free. Every search you make trains a search algorithm. Every product you click on trains a recommendation engine. Every photo you post trains a facial recognition system. Every route you drive trains a mapping AI. Every conversation you have on a smart device trains a language model. You are the unpaid labor force of the largest wealth transfer in human history. As of 2025, 5.41 billion people actively use social media worldwide, spending an average of over 2 hours per day scrolling, generating data at a volume that is beyond human comprehension, and that data flows upward into systems owned by a handful of companies. As researcher Meredith Whittaker put it in late 2025, we are witnessing the greatest concentration of computational and economic power in history, controlled by 3 or 4 companies that answer to no one. You're not the customer. You never were. You're the product. And more than that, you're the trainer. Once the AI is trained well enough, once it can do most of what you currently do, white-collar work, creative work, analysis, communication, then what? What happens to useless people? This is the question nobody in power wants to answer directly, because the answer is uncomfortable. When the machines are sufficiently trained, when physical labor is the last remaining human contribution, what do the people at the top do with hundreds of millions of unemployed, propertyless, restless human beings? Idle, broke, angry people are a problem. History knows this. Every empire that created a surplus of powerless people eventually faced that problem through revolution, through bread and circuses, through war, through control. Universal basic income has emerged as the most discussed policy response, a system where all citizens receive a regular payment regardless of employment, theoretically funded by the productivity gains of AI. Sounds generous, right? But think about what UBI actually means in this context. You receive a payment from the system to survive, and that payment can be adjusted, conditioned, withdrawn, tied to behavior. It's not freedom. It's a leash with a longer chain. Some 2026 proposals go further. Participation income that rewards humans for social contributions AI cannot perform, combined with free basic services, internet, transit, healthcare. Again, sounds good on paper. But who controls what counts as a valid contribution? Who decides which services you get access to? The people who own the systems. When they no longer need you economically, they will not look at you as a human being. The uncomfortable truth is, many of them already don't. They look at you as a data point, a consumer unit, a variable in a model. And when you stop being useful as a variable, you become a problem to be managed. The surveillance layer. Add data surveillance on top of all this, and the picture becomes clearer. Your phone knows where you sleep. Your search history knows what you're afraid of. Your purchases know your habits better than your closest friends. The US government's massive 2025 spending law gave the Department of Homeland Security an unprecedented $165 billion in annual funding, and a national AI policy released in March 2026 is actively pushing for wider AI deployment across American industry, including access to federal datasets to train AI systems. The line between corporate surveillance and government surveillance is not just blurring, it's dissolving. AI systems now analyze social media posts to infer political views, mental health status, and likelihood of certain behaviors. They study purchasing patterns to predict and influence future actions. And the generation growing up right now has never known a world without this. They don't feel surveilled. Surveillance is just the water they swim in. Privacy is becoming a concept that requires a history lesson to explain. I genuinely believe this. There is a generation alive right now, maybe the last one, that remembers what it felt like to exist without being tracked. To have a conversation that wasn't stored somewhere. To be anonymous in a crowd. To own physical things that couldn't be remotely disabled or deleted. My parents' generation remembers a world before the internet. We remember a world before smartphones. The generation after us, they'll remember nothing before the algorithm. And when you don't remember the alternative, you can't miss it. You can't fight for something you've never experienced. You can't even name the loss. That's not an accident. I'm going to say something that might sound dramatic, but I think it's honest. There is an inevitable conflict coming, not necessarily with guns. Maybe not in our lifetimes. I don't know if we'll live to see it fully, but the math doesn't lie. A world where a tiny group controls all productive systems, all data, all infrastructure, and a growing majority has no economic leverage, no privacy, no ownership. That is not a stable world. Every time in history when this gap became wide enough, something broke. Sometimes it was a revolution. Sometimes it was a war. Sometimes it was the slow collapse of the system from within. I don't know what form it takes this time. The tools of control are more sophisticated than they've ever been. The dependency is deeper. The surveillance is more complete. But I do know one thing: be on the right side. Not because good always wins easily. Not because justice is fast. But because in the long arc of history, and I've looked at enough of it, good wins. The systems that treat humans as disposable eventually face the humans they tried to dispose of. Be someone who thought about this. Be someone who questioned it. Be someone who didn't just scroll past it, because the people at the top are counting on you to scroll past it. What can you actually do? I'm not going to pretend I have a complete answer. Anyone who does is lying to you. But some things hold up. Own things, physical things, books that don't need a subscription, skills that live in your hands and your head, relationships that exist offline, knowledge that works without Wi-Fi. Question the convenience. Every time something becomes effortless and free, ask, what am I actually paying with? Usually data, often attention, sometimes something harder to name, Stay uncomfortable. Comfort is the mechanism. The system doesn't need you angry, it just needs you comfortable enough not to look too closely. Think slowly, carefully, skeptically, because genuine independent thought is still, for now, the one thing that's hard to automate. I know this is a lot. Maybe it's bleak, but I'd rather be the person who looked at this directly and was wrong than the person who never looked at all. If 8 of you came here to argue, I expected that. But if 2 of you are sitting there right now, a little unsettled, turning something over in your mind, that's exactly who I made this for. Welcome to the inside of my brain.